Hey, I'm Karai. Like some Viktor content, some middling content? Consider subscribing, maybe even hitting that like button. It'll help me up a lot. And if you do, you'll get blue buff. Viktor Challenger. The only rule, I can only play Viktor. Unless it's banned, then we're playing Orianna. No Viktor jungle, no Viktor support, maybe Viktor Bali, and that's about it.
Hello friends, welcome back to another Viktor 2 Challenger series. This game we are up against a Tristana in around low masters. Tristana is one of those AD champions you can play in mid lane, such as Lucerne, such as Akshan, and with most of those matchups, Viktor has a slightly harder time during the early laning phase, but it does go better as we scale up. You can see that we're going for very lane focused runes and keystones such as Comet, such as Absolute Focus, Scorch, and also Bone Plating. The idea here is that we want to just poke the Tristana until she has to be forced to base or gets killed, because Tristana doesn't have any self-sustain abilities. You can see that she jumps in, and I actually realized by looking at this VOD, and this is why you should always do your own VOD reviews because of these little small mistakes, that I queued to the minion. But again, going back to the point is that she jumps in, she takes a really bad trade because when she's trading like that with me, my minions are actually attacking her. All 6 of my minions were attacking her. And when you're playing Tristana, you're supposed to be having a health lead. You can see the traits are kind of going kind of even here, not really. I have like 100 health above her and she's already spamming 2 pots while I'm only spamming my first pot. So we're already kind of winning. It's not very obvious that we're winning, but when you're even as a mage in a losing matchup, you're pretty much winning. Right here, I actually think I kind of misplayed it. I think I might have been able to flash. In fact, I definitely should have just flashed in. I definitely would have killed her if I didn't land my Q2 on the minion. But things happen. Again, this is why you should do your own VOD reviews. You know, especially in games where you feel like your teammates are in the wrong. You will never know what you actually did wrong until you kind of do these kind of VOD reviews. It might look like a really small mistake, but because I did that small mistake, I couldn't kill the Tristana. Anyways, back to the lane. You can see right here that the lane is very much in our favor already at 3 minutes. The lane is pushing towards us. They have a cannon, which means it will kind of slowly push towards us. It might just stay around here because some minions are, dying into the turret. But already, when we're playing a losing matchup and we're keeping even, it pretty much means we're winning because the game will go on, right? And when we're playing Viktor, even though we have a lot of like lane focused runes, we are eventually scaling into the late game with this kind of small leads. Call it snowball if you will. So right now the lane state is that we just want to hold the minion wave right in front of here. We really don't want to push it in because if we push it in, we're just feeding Tristana the kill, or we're just feeding Tristana minions. And if Tristana chooses to jump onto us, she can just run us down the whole lane. So we really don't want to push up unless we have a really huge minion wave, especially with a cannon up. Right here, we just want to hit her with our E. We want to keep above 70% health to maintain our absolute focus value. You can see that Tristana tries to take our bone plating down, but in doing so, actually takes a really bad trade. Once again, she already based, and yet we are still having a more health. We're still having more health than her, even though she chose to base. Right here, I misplaced my gravity field. I think if I actually landed my gravity field, I might have been able to kill her. She is trading like with a bunch of minions in front of me. You might notice that Tristana is doing a lot of weird stuff, and that's because I believe this Tristana was actually filled. I kind of did a mistake there. The whole reason why I died there is that even though Nunu was there, we could say like, oh, Nunu kind of baited us in. We should have waited for Nunu. The way I look at it is that when we're playing Viktor, especially in these volatile matchups, like assassin matchups, things that can kill you kind of matchups, is that whatever you do, when you have a small lead, there is no rush in trying to kill the enemy. In fact, the slower you can play, the more agonizing you can make the enemy feel like they're, like pain, like you're freezing in front of them, you're denying them CS even though they're supposed to quote unquote win the matchup, the better. You're not really, your whole goal when you're playing Viktor in these kind of matchups, I guess for this video, in this Tristana matchup, is that you want to make not only do you want to make the enemy unable to kill you, but at the same time you want to choke them in a way that you're stealing all their you're not stealing, but you're kind of withholding their resources, such as their health, because you can poke them, or sometimes their abilities when they're trying to push. I believe in just a bit she tries to pull her entire cooldowns onto my minions. You can see that she drops her E onto the cannon. At this stage, like, okay, since she has no cooldown, we can walk up actively, just try to trade with her. we have a big health lead by doing so. Even though she has the push going on right here, it really doesn't matter because like, yeah, sure she could roam, but again, our whole goal right now as Viktor is that we just want to survive. So the fact that she's pushing in minions to us for free means that we can just scale for free. Again, she is able to roam, and I believe she actually gets a kill onto our top lane later. You can see that I'm not really walking up to try to push up this lane just because I'm not sure if Tristana is still in this lane. Tristana can do a small little trick or small little cheese where she can just kind of hide in one of the side pushes and jump onto you with her full combo, and she will win the trade most of the time. But because you know she's not up top, I see her, or rather I see her up top, and you know that forces Diana to quote unquote defend her lane. It actually gets Diana killed. Again, like roams, yeah, like sure people can push up the lane, but you know as Viktor it doesn't really matter to you because at the end of the day, if you're able to get like 2 whole minion waves for free, you're taking that any day at a time, any time of the day rather. So right here we get the Diana because Tristana roamed. And we're in a pretty good spot. I believe we have a pretty gorgeous CS lead right here, 27 to 53, about a 26 CS lead. So again, we're in a pretty good spot. Even though we have like Scorch and not Gathering Storm, we're still doing pretty well for ourselves. Again, the goal for this lane is that you want to not die to Tristana, so you lose control of the lane. And you want to just stay in lane to choke the enemy, right? And some of you might be asking, okay, well, what if the Tristana keeps on roaming? Well, she's basically coin flipping. And if your teammates are dying to Tristana roams, you're probably not gonna win that game anyways. Trust me, using that mentality saves a lot of games. Because you know, even though if your teammates are flipping you, it's like, oh Viktor, you're not doing anything. You know, you're staying in lane. Tristana's doing a lot of things. Roaming doesn't mean you're doing a lot, alright? I think a lot of people misunderstand that, oh, if I'm roaming, it means I'm winning the game. No, you're not. If I'm staying in lane, if I'm having 3 more waves than you are, I'm still getting a lot more out of it. 3 waves is basically a kill. And a lot of EXP, a lot of solo EXP, mind you. Plus the fact that we're also getting platings, right? So, again, if your enemy is roaming, for this specific matchup, if your enemy Tristana is roaming, do not fret. Because as long as you're scaling as Viktor, as long as you're not getting behind as Viktor, you will eventually carry in the late game, probably at 3 items and when you have full upgrades. You can see right here, even though Tristana got like a couple of kills while roaming, she is definitely not winning this lane at all. So it doesn't matter if she gets roams, as long as she doesn't get too much kills from the side lanes or even any shutdown, we should be in a pretty good spot. Right now, we're already in a really great spot. She has no CS lead. We're about 2 levels ahead of her. I think if I was actually a bit more daring, I probably could have just walked up to kill her. But again, we're not. We're kind of playing a bit cautiously where the Diana is. I say that, but looking back, I have exhaust. I have my entire kit up. We can definitely just be a bit more bolder. And even if the Diana comes, that's a good thing because we want the Diana to come, so we're actually able to just pull pressure and have our side lanes do their best against their own laners, and even provide more time for my jungler to do well, to help the other lanes even more. If you can 1v2 without dying, that's the best case scenario. Once again, we're able to force the Tristana to go back to her base. And again, we're just scaling here. We can see that again, we're just constantly bringing the Diana to mid. We're forcing her to sit in mid. Now you might say, oh, okay, but you're not actually killing Tristana. Again, our goal is not to kill Tristana. Our goal is to try to just survive against Tristana. Because again, Tristana against a Viktor, Tristana should be the one that's winning the lane. If this lane is even, Viktor is winning this lane, right? Sort of like when you're playing, this used to be an own example, but sort of like if you're playing Renekton versus, no, I can't say that. But there used to be a matchup where Jace and Gangplank, if you're playing Jace, you're supposed to be completely stomping on the Gangplank. But I think like right now Gangplank actually stomps regardless. But the whole point is that if you're an early game champion and you're kind of even with the late game champion, the late game champion will eventually win. Is what I'm trying to get here. And at this stage, again, we are about 2 levels up on the Tristana. And this is where we want to be. You know, we don't have to kill the enemy Tristana. We just want to make it that the enemy Tristana can't kill us and force her out of lane. That's our whole point right now. Right now, the situation is that we have a very significant CS lead against her. I believe that Tristana is actually trying to roam again. I look at our bot lane and I see that, oh, Diana's bot side and my bot side is getting pushed in. This instantly tells me that my bot lane is getting dive. In this kind of scenario, when you have the push first, you can look for a roam. But when you're trying to roam to a side lane, be sure that you see where the enemy mid and jungler is first before going to any brushes, because they could be hiding and they could kill you if you try to walk in. The reason why we're actually doing this roam in the first place is because we already pushed up our lane, and the fact that our Nunu is also coming bot side allows us to just pull off this kind of roam without too many risks. But going back to the lane, you can see that Tristana, even though she's doing a lot of roaming, some of you might be saying like, well, yeah, Tristana's doing a lot, you're not doing anything in lane. She's flipping a lot, right? Even though she has 4 kills, I'm pretty sure I have both the gold lead and the gold lead and the EXP lead, right? Against her. Because if you're getting kills, you're trying to get gold. And if you're having more gold against someone, or if you're having less gold against someone who is just perma farming, having more kills doesn't necessarily mean you're actually winning. The fact that we're also able to pull the jungler into the lane and kill her twice, I believe this is her second death in mid lane now, means that we're pretty much winning the lane just by staying in lane. And that's the whole that's kind of the whole purpose of Viktor. In this case specifically, if you're playing against Tristana, again, I have to say this many times when you're playing Tristana, is that you want to avoid dying to her and you just want to abuse your range onto her. Predict that she's going to jump onto you, because you can kind of just say like, oh, if I'm just a Tristana player, will this be a good time to jump onto the Viktor? This is how I see it. So right now we're just basing with about a Ludens, and also I believe we have the... Oh, I actually didn't sell my... Oh, right, because I don't have futures market. But we have the Ludens lead against her. She has Kraken right here, and this is just the final tip before I move on to team fights, because at this point we're kind of just Giga winning, even though it doesn't look like we're Giga winning. But this final tip is that even though we're really ahead in terms of gold and levels, when the enemy ADC mid gets their first mythic, be it Gale Force or Kraken Slayer, we really want to avoid full-on trading with her, unless we have our full upgrades. The reason is because that they basically have infinite DPS at this point, and they can just auto you to death. With the case of mages, you still want to play out the long game. The goal hasn't changed that just because I have a big lead, I should just walk up to try to kill her. No, that's not exactly the case. We want to just continue scaling until we get our 2.5, 3 items point, where we can just walk up to her and just one tap her at that point. So that's it for now. So just to summarize, against the Tristana, you want to pay respect to the fact that the enemy is AD, and if she tries to jump into your wave, do not be afraid to trade against her, especially if you have lane focused runes like Aerie, Comet, or Scorch. You want to use your Q against her. I'm just gonna show this little clip here. This is a kind of a cocky mistake that I do. I'm too forward in her in her turret, which results in me dying. I might have been able to exhaust her as well. My exhaust is up, so this is completely my bad. I might have been able to expect this because the Tristana has been doing this unga bunga shit the whole time. I really don't I hate it when I can't tell what the enemy is doing because they're just so unga bunga. But that's my bad. But again, just to summarize, pay respect to the enemy Tristana. Don't be too focused on trying to kill Tristana. Be more focused on trying to survive the lane and stay even. If you're staying even, you're winning. That's all there is to it. If I have to give another tip, I guess it's definitely to take exhaust against the Tristana, because her damage is very scripted. 4 attacks onto her bomb. Her bomb is where you need to exhaust. So exhaust is also a very valuable matchup into Tristana. I think bone plating is also really good into her. The time's running out here, and I hope you guys I hope you guys managed to pick up something from this video against the Tristana. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I'd be more than happy to help you guys, to answer your comments. And I will definitely see you in the next video. Peace out.